Alright, so season 17 of Drag Race had a cast where half of the queens were related to previous Ru girls. The first couple of episodes of the season focused on these relations, rather than the queens themselves. But then that storyline was dropped pretty much mid-season. Even so, that gave me a pretty clear video idea of seeing who did better on Drag Race, the Nepo-Queens or their drag relatives. Some of the relations that will be mentioned were not actually talked about in the show itself, but the season's wikia entry does list them, with most of them having pretty reputable sources. Therefore, as mentioned on the wikia, the drag family connections on season 17 include Arrietty, who is a drag daughter of Irene Dubois, now Irene the Alien. Crystal Envy is a drag sister of Jasmine Kennedie. Jewel Sparkles and Sam Star are drag granddaughter and drag daughter, respectively, of Trinity The Tuck. Kori King is a drag sister of Plain Jane. Lana Ja'Rae is a drag daughter of Luxx Noir London. And lastly, Lucky Starzzz is allegedly the former drag daughter of Nina Brown. Before we continue the video, I want to thank everyone who has become a member of the channel. All these lovely people have seen this video before the rest of you, and they already have a couple of exclusive videos that you can watch on there, namely the All Stars 10 episode reviews, and maybe even Heroes vs. Villains, remember that? So if you would like to join us there, you know what to do. It's not mandatory, but you know, YouTube hates their creators, so now let's get back to the video. The thing is, I don't want to waste your time and prolong this video. I'm not Mistress Isabelle Brooks. For some of these pairs, we know who did better just by thinking. Irene Dubois, now Irene the Alien, was eliminated first on season 15. Even though she has one mini challenge win in that season, Arrietty would have to have been in the bottom two every single week until her elimination to have done worse than Irene, in theory. Knowing that that's not what happened, we know that Arrietty wins that exchange. Similarly to that, Nina Brown did better than Lucky, who was the first eliminated queen on her season. Next, Kori King did not have a single above safe placement on season 17, and Plain Jane was top 3 in her season, with her only below safe placement coming in episode 14. Plain wins this one. Crystal Envy also wins her matchup against her drag sister Jasmine Kennedie for pretty much the same reason. Lastly, season 15's Luxx Noir London, similarly to Plain Jane and Crystal Envy, only had one below safe placement in her season, as opposed to Lana, who had only one above safe placement. Right now, the score is 3-2 for the OGs, but we have 2 more matchups to go over. And who knows? Maybe the Nepo-Queens will end up taking the overall win. Interestingly enough, the 2 matchups we have to look at both include Trinity The Tuck. She will set a standard for 2 queens of season 17. Sam Star and Jewel Sparkles, and the Nepo-Queens need both Sam and Jules to beat Trinity's season 9 track record to show that the Nepo-Queens did better than the OGs. On season 9, Trinity The Tuck, or Trinity Taylor back then, came in as the pageant queen that relied on her body in drag. She was quickly humbled by the mere existence of Kimora Black. She didn't really wow us in the first episode of the season, but in the cheerleading challenge the next week, she was in the top 3. Pretty much from the start, she had a feud with Eureka, as both of them were southern pageant queens. However, in episode 3, she showed that she had a personality and design skills, which gave her her first win in the season. Sadly, in episode 4, for the morning show challenge, Trinity ended up being in the bottom 2 against the corpse of Charlie Heights. This was, again, a humbling moment for her, as after this, and with Eureka's departure from the season, Trinity became way more likable and she shed her pageant persona. She was safe for the next 2 episodes, but then got her second win for the 9-on-2-on-0 acting challenge. However, she ends up being low for the roast in the next episode, but her downtime in the season does not last long, as she ends up being high in the comedy pilots challenge in the very next episode. Trinity got her third win in the season in episode 10's makeover challenge, but she's only safe in the ball. Due to the inclusion of the lip sync for the crown in the finale due to VH1 demands, Trinity does not end up being in the season's top 2. and she's eliminated. Trinity earned a solid 38 points over 12 episodes, meaning that she earned 63.3 recurring percent of the maximum amount of points that she could have earned in the season. Since Trinity's entire storyline was about her shedding that pageant queen persona, and she had a pageant rival in the beginning of the season, and then she did not get into the top 2 in the finale, and she had 3 Maxi Challenge wins, yeah, I think we should first look at Sam. The only difference between Trinity and Sam's storylines was that Trinity stuck the landing with her story, whereas Sam, the moment she got rid of that Southern pageant queen gimmick, she put it back on for the makeover and then also the final competitive episode of the season, rendering all the previous growth she had done in the season pointless. Season 17 had 13 competitive episodes. Therefore, the maximum amount of points a queen could have earned in that season is 65. Mini challenges are just tiny bonuses and not mandatory for a good track record. Also, the last episode of season 17 was not a competitive episode because it was the production who chose the top 2, rather than the queens actually competing against each other, with the better performing queens making it into the top 2. Therefore, in order to beat Trinity's track record, Sam has to have earned more than 41.16 recurring points, or, 42 points exactly, or more. So let's see if she does that. Sam started the season off just like Trinity, with a safe placement. However, Sam's first Maxi Challenge win came in the second episode, in the Design Challenge. Interestingly, similarly to Trinity. However, Sam then has a safe placement in the first Acting/Comedy Challenge, and then a low placement for the second Acting/Comedy Challenge. For the next 3 episodes, Sam is in the top 3 for each one of them. First, for episode 6's Ball, she's in the top 3 with a mini challenge win. Then, she's high in Snatch Game, portraying Kim Gravel, which tells you a lot about season 17 Snatch Game, and she gets her second Maxi Challenge win in the Rusical. She gets a low-key surprising safe placement in the Design Challenge with this Madonna-inspired look, and I say surprising just because of the results of the previous Design Challenges that Sam competed in. Sam is high for 2 episodes in a row next, with a high placement in the Roast, although with a pretty minimal edit for a high placement, all things considered. And then, like I said, a high placement for the Ross Matthews versus the Ducks episode. After this, Sam gets her first bottom 2 placement in episode 12, taking out Lana Ja'Rae after the Cunt Monologues challenge. She's now at 39 points. She needs to earn 3 points in the next 2 episodes to beat Trinity. So, 2 bottom 2 placements are the only way Sam does not beat Trinity. Also elimination, but we know that she does not get eliminated in these 2 episodes. Luckily for Sam, with all the similarities between them, she gets her third Maxi Challenge win in episode 13's Makeover Challenge. She ended the season with 45 overall points, having beaten Trinity with 1 episode to spare. Okay, so they're tied. Now it's just down to Jules versus Trinity. And Jules was the runner-up of season 17. She must have done better than Sam, right? Drag Race would not pick the weakest competitor in the top 4 to go into the top 2 solely based on the boners that teenagers on TikTok have for them, right? Again, Jules has to have earned 42 points in 13 episodes in order to beat what Trinity did on season 9. So let's see if she does. Jules actually starts the season stronger than both Sam and Trinity, with a top 2 placement. In this case, we would consider that a high placement. She has a run of safe placements in the next 4 episodes, ending episode 6 with 16 points. All is not lost, however, given that her luck changes in the next 3 episodes. She's high for the Snatch Game of season 17, then she's high again for the Rusical, and she gets her first Maxi Challenge win in episode 9's Design Challenge. 29 points and 5 more episodes to go. That's doable. Sadly, she isn't as lucky in episode 10 when she's in the bottom 2 against Arrietty. Nothing to worry about. 4 episodes, 12 points, again doable. She really just has to be safe and she'll be good. For the next 2 episodes, however, she was low. God damn it, Jules. But You know, if anything, she does get a little boost with a mini challenge within episode 12. Okay, so she has 2 more episodes, she just needs 7 points. That's still doable, especially knowing that episode 13 had a mini challenge. But in the makeover episode, Jules does not win the mini challenge. In fact, even worse, she's in the bottom 2. After episode 13, she's at 36 points, meaning that if she wants to beat Trinity, she needs to earn 6 points in episode 14. Jules does win the maxi challenge in that episode, but given that that episode had no mini challenges, Jules ends her time on Drag Race with 41 points, being only 1 point away from beating Trinity. Thus, who did better on Drag Race? The Nepo-Queens or the OGs? Well, overall, it was the OGs. Nina Bonina Brown, Plain Jane, Luxx Noir London, and Trinity The Tuck carried their team to victory, while Arrietty, Crystal Envy, and Sam Star won points for their team. We can conclude that nepotism is bad, and that Drag Race should just stop casting based on that. Okay, that's not the proper takeaway from this video, but hey, the sentiment still stands.